That's recording now.
Hi, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us. Quite excited today to have Joanne and Connor from sunny Northern Ireland sharing around creating great online video content, which is obviously something that a lot of you have been tackling over the last few months, and hopefully you've already gained some skills, but be able to just enlighten a little bit more today. Just a quick bit of housekeeping. Don't worry, you are all on mute and you are all without video. So we are recording today's session, which will be available on our YouTube channel probably from tomorrow morning, but no one will be able to see or hear you, so that's all good. If you accidentally leave the session, then just use the same link that you used to get in last time and you'll be able to get back in again and see us. This session is part of our series of free webinars on COVID-19 issues that we've been running since the end of May on various topics, from funding to insurance, working with vulnerable volunteers, reopening, a whole host of really interesting topics, which we've been really lucky to have so many of our members sharing their experiences, their ideas and the challenges they faced. So if you do want to check out the topics that we've already covered, again, go onto our YouTube channel, or there's a link from our website on the events page to all of the previous sessions. Today, we're very excited to be joined by Connor and Joanne. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves, really, because that's the best way of doing it. So Connor, over to you. Do you want to give us a bit of a background about who you are and why you're here, having been doing a lot of videoing recently?
Okay, Conor O'Kane, from Derry originally, and I travelled and worked around various parts of the UK and the Republic of Ireland, where Joanne is now based. And I am now working for Social Farms and Gardens, Northern Ireland, and along with Miriam and Patricia. And the reason I'm here is because during the lockdown I started recording videos as a way of keeping in touch with our members and to try and give a wee bit of inspiration, I suppose, just to kind of say, look, I haven't a clue how to do videos, but here's what I'm doing in the garden, and what are you doing? And so just sort of reaching out to people, and that's really what I'm doing here. And Joanne?
Yeah, hello everybody. My name is Joanne Butler, and I work with, I'm with Organic Gardens is the name of my organisation, and I facilitate community gardeners around Donegal and Derry as well. I've worked on a few projects. Yeah, I've been doing it since 2013, going out and about with lots of different community gardens. And I suppose then during COVID had happened, I was getting ready actually to start welcoming people to my own garden for workshops in horticulture and permaculture. And I had a lovely spring calendar booked up with people coming for different events, and then COVID obviously changed all that. So my journey the last 5 months has been all about getting out there, putting my face in front of the camera. Quite daunting experience at the beginning, but I used Facebook Live first of all, and I just literally came out, cleared the potting shed, moved away, tidied it up a bit, and just pressed the button live, and that was it. And since then I've done quite a number of, I think I did 13 weeks altogether of Facebook Live. I did a few webinars as well, and then my journey then is I started to run a course, Grow Your Own Food course then, and that has had over 100 participants to date now, with people all through Ireland, the UK, France and Scotland. So it's been fantastic that I've had so many different and meeting so many different people. So that's my story, and that's what I'll be talking about today.
Thanks, Faye. Right, we're going to kick off with Connor, who's going to start with the basics around filming, because if you haven't got good content to edit in the first place, then it's the best place to start, really, isn't it, Connor?
I think so, yeah. So Miriam, I think, has got a wee PowerPoint here, which I'll we'll work our way through that, and feel free to interrupt at any point if there's anything that you want to ask more about, or Joanne,
I'm just going to interrupt actually there, Connor, because I didn't actually say you should see the Q&A function at the bottom of your screens, everyone. If you do have anything that you wanted to raise, Miriam and I will be monitoring that. We'll either raise questions at the end or as we're going through, so do feel free to drop your questions in there.
Okay, that's great then. So yeah, it says here, top tips for shooting a great short video as learned during lockdown. Yeah, I had no real experience of putting up videos of any description prior to lockdown, and had no equipment for doing so either. I didn't even have a camera except on my phone. So this was quite a journey to start on. Just seeing the next slide there. So there's that moment then. So smartphone or camera, what are you're going to run on? You know, you see your professionals with your big video cameras, but you can do an awful lot on your smartphone. Accessibility, so many people have a smartphone already. You know, you don't have to go out and buy the full great equipment to start sharing your story. People are interested in the story rather than high quality video or cinema standard footage. Most people are watching on a phone or on a laptop anyway. This doesn't need to be that great. You know, sound quality is going to be better on your camera, though if you get an external mic, it can upgrade your phone to a level where the sound is good there too. Phone cameras, so easy to use. Really, it's just a question of press record, and it works a lot of that out for you. If you're working with cameras, you've got a lot more manual work to do to get to something that you're happy with. Transferring files was a bit of an issue, really. Phones, quite often, they may start off with a lot of memory, but that fills up very quickly once you're recording films. And even 2 or 3 minutes of video can take up a lot of space, so you're constantly taking things off. You know, if you're trying to capture what's going on in an active garden, you can find yourself recording maybe 10 or 15 minutes of footage very easily, and that will start to block up your phone. Battery life when recording can also be an issue. You might think you're well charged and find that that's running out after 10, 15 minutes of recording. That's going down. So something else to keep an eye on. It can be very frustrating if you're in the middle of recording something and it dies. And like I said there, yeah, the memory of your phone can be limited once the files are accumulating. So it's about getting them off your phone and onto your computer, and that can be an issue as well, transfer it. So next. So in terms of the tips for the actual recording, and this is one that I didn't really come across until about halfway through the series. I was holding my phone the way I always hold it upright, and it was pointed out to me that if you put it the other way, it fits the screen better. So always hold your camera horizontally so it fits the shape of TV screen, and you get more. You just get better definition, better quality on there. It also means if you're turned around on your stand, it held better on my stand that way too. So next screen now. Yep. So always put your phone somewhere where there is plenty of light coming onto the subject that you want to do. So no point with the light behind you shading you out so there's a shadow talking to the screen. So you should be facing the light. Kind of, I guess where I'm sitting here now, there's plenty of light coming on that way, and that's the way you want to be. You want to have that coming on. So next, okay, sound. You really do want to get as good a sound at the moment of recording as you can. There's very little you can do with it afterwards. So if you can record in a quiet place, that's great. If you're recording outside, try and do it on a quiet day, or when you know that there's not going to be lots of activity from your neighbors. So always do a sound test before you start, and do tap tap tap, see if it's there, and that's good to do as well. And if you're putting your mic in, put it in before you start filming. Quite often your phone, the program on the phone will not pick it up if you insert a microphone afterwards. So that's another wasted effort. And yeah, be aware of the wind. Beware of the wind. Shelter where possible. Glass houses, greenhouses, polytunnels make lovely places to film little bits. Still look outside, and you haven't got that flowing across and making everything just awkward to listen to and uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's very true, because actually a lot of the time you listen to these videos and as soon as there's bad sound, just switch off straight away because you can't hear what's going on, don't you?
Yep.
When you're talking about an external mic there, Connor, is that what you used, and what kind of, where did you get it from? How big is it, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I was using an external mic that I had from an old Zoom recorder. So that didn't actually plug into my phone. So that was just something I'd had for recording concerts that I was working on, and so that was okay. But you can buy small mics around about 40-50 pounds that you can plug into your phone as well and just record on those. You'll see people using them with gimbals and the rest. So you can so you can plug in a microphone almost of any size, and there is really an interface for connecting your phone to a microphone. So like anything, you can spend as much as you want to spend on it. Okay, yeah. So when you are recording, have everything prepped and set out in advance to make the progression of filming as easy as possible. Again, came to this, through long. Oh, I'll just fill this tray, or oh, I'll just split these peas open, or open this packet, and you find yourself doing really awkward things in front of the camera. Now, Joanne, at least I was able to edit these out. I don't know if you found maybe at the start you were doing some activities that should be easy, but you're on film and you're talking to people, and it gets awkward.
Totally. Yeah. There were times that I was doing live, so Facebook Live. So what I realized was that for my first issue was trying that with one hand and then trying to do the job. Yeah. So then I tried to position it at the edge of the bench and then at the camera falling over. So I had lots of moments like that where, and people were enjoying it apparently in the background.
Exactly. I tried with the very first one would have been somebody holding it, recording a couple of ones. I went from that to just an old microphone stand, which I found angled, gave me a nice camera angle on it, held it steady, and I meant I could move it around and do that. But yeah, knowing exactly what you're doing before you're doing it's really important. And if you can run it once through before you record it, or in your case do it live, to see just how long it's likely to take you to carry out those activities are great. And then I found having multiples of ingredients and materials where possible, because if you mess something up, it's really nice to be able to just go take two, grab another one, and into that, rather than having to go right. That's the whole thing abandoned. So yeah, so that shouldn't derail your whole recording session. So next, there we go. Always use a stand. And as I came to that one, better social distancing than having somebody else film you. And the other thing, there's less embarrassment when you get things wrong. We do get things wrong. Somebody standing there filming you, you can start to freeze up. You don't do that with a mic stand. You can keep your eyes on the camera, and don't worry about, you've turned the camera on, you've walked away. You're going to edit all those out. Nobody's going to watch you doing this. That's just, you've got to go and you've checked it. You've got your mic, sit back, ready to go. That'll all get edited out. And next, there we go. So take 2 seconds. I'll demonstrate this one. So like we're doing this live. Right, okay. Yeah, that's working. So hello and welcome to Lockdown Gardening. Take a wee second to center, take a wee breathe, and off you go. Like, and talk to the camera at the start, and show your face so people can see who they're listening to. It's very important. You don't want to come straight in and see a pair of hands doing things. you know, your audience are there to connect with you. You can then cut away to concentrate on the activity itself. And if you can, when you finish your video, sum up the points of what you've just done, so that people remember what the important bits were. And again, talking to the camera. Next, yeah, videos for Facebook should be short. I started off short, and they started to get longer and longer, but I sort of put on the 5 minutes. Can't go over 5 minutes. Keep it at that for people's attention. So if you just go one thing to say, 30 seconds to a minute is fine. If you've got, you know, a lot that you want to get across, say 5 minutes isn't so bad. People will come up to that. But for a single shot, people get very bored if you're just looking at, you know, if it's not moving. So I was working on 7 to 10 seconds per shot. So that meant cutting around a lot, moving on to other things. When you're editing, it's really good if you've got a pause between things, because it's hard to edit sound that way. So when you finish saying a sentence, stop. Then you're more likely to say what you want to say afterwards. You've also got that precious little bit of silence that you can cut and put the right thing in the next time. So don't be afraid to repeat an action or a phrase when filming to communicate something more clearly. Because again, you're not live. You're going to edit this. You're going to grab the better one. So if you've done something awkwardly, that's grand. Just go back and do it again. You will lose the awkward one. You'll keep the good one. So it's better to do 2 takes and a quick edit than spend an hour editing to patch together something usable. It took me a long time to learn that. So whatever you're recording, you start with an establishing shot to set the scene, and then move to your close-ups, so people know, against the contextualization, who's here, where are we, what are we doing. That's your sort of order of events. Plenty of shots of what you're talking about, so people can identify it. You might know exactly, you might be talking about a particular variety of plant. Someone else may never have seen that plant. They want repeat it, let them see what it is. Different types of shots, long shots, close-ups, and even ones like around the garden will help tie the whole story better together. Just a wee bit more entertaining. And I don't know why I wrote it, but gratuitous shots of beautiful things in the garden are useful to have, but don't overdo it with lots of imagery. It's not relevant to the story you're telling. We all love to show our gardens off, you know, and it's great sometimes just to wander through and look at it all. But when you're sitting on the edit and you're going, I've got to get this down, I've got to lose a minute and a half, the first thing that goes is the dew in the fuchsia that would look so amazing at 6:30 in the morning, you know. So a few wee pictures to bring it on, but stick to the story that you're telling. And the next one, yeah, get all your visuals together before doing the final narration. And it's really I might get a chance to show this when we go after Joanne talks. We'll look at the editing, but you know, you can do a semi-narration while you're putting it together, but sometimes you'll want to actually narrate over the top of that. You might just have a lot of things done in silence. You're sitting trying to imagine what it's going to be like before you put on the overlay. But if you don't talk at all when you're doing it, then you're presented with a load of imagery and you have to come up with something to say, and it's sometimes that's harder. So talking a bit of nonsense over the top that you know you're not going to keep, but that is telling you what you're doing, can give you 80% of what your final narration is going to be, and nobody's listening to you, so don't be embarrassed. Just say it, get it down. You're going to work with that. Exception to this when you're speaking to camera, because you can't overdub that. It just looks totally wrong. We are so good at telling whenever you know, when we're looking at somebody's face and they're speaking, we can tell if there's the slightest, you know. Many great musicians have been rumbled through trying to dub things on screen or on stage, you know. So just don't do it. It makes people uncomfortable. They just go straight away, that's fake. So get your 2 screen narrative pieces right at the time, and if it's too windy, do it outside, do it inside. Better than we were saying the rattly or crackly sound. And I think this might be our last one coming up now, is it? yeah, filling a bed, sewing a tray, etc. Film the whole thing, and then you can show. You might not decide to show the whole thing, but you can speed it up, and just so people get an idea. All right, that's the whole thing. That's it being done. But if you're constantly speeding up and slowing down, it can make the whole thing feel a little bit messy. But it's nice. It gives you a break. You don't have to speak whenever that's going on. A lot of time you can just, right, here's everything going high speed, sit back and relax a minute, and you wait for the narrator to come back in when it all slows down. So that can be a nice wee break in a longer film. Is that us for the video tabs there? Oh. So end with an ask or a call to action for further information. Like, for example, if you're inspired by this, why not get out there and make a film yourself about this to share? For example, at the London Video Festival, or so videos with how-to information will get more engagements and be shared more often. Have fun. That's be yourself. Don't try and Monty Don's Monty Don. And Hugh Williams, or it's Hugh Williams. You're you. Be you. And if 10 people enjoy your video and get inspired by it, that's great. If 100 do it, that's amazing. And just every bit of knowledge you share helps the collective. People don't have to believe everything you say, but if they like some of it and they share it, well, sure, that's great. Keep it up. And yeah, keep editing. And hand over to Joanne now to tell us about the live experience.
Yes. Great. Thank you, Connor. Brilliant. So I am looking at that and I'm thinking, wow, I wish I knew all of that when it started. Because even though, Connor, we're both doing it for this, we're coming to the same conclusion there. We're trying to reach out to people and everything. I just did not have the technology know-how to do any of that. Now, I'm probably 5 months in, I'm probably at the stage now where I'm thinking, yeah, I couldn't handle that. But back at the very beginning, when it was so new to me, I had to ask, I was asking my husband to set up all the technical stuff. And all I could do was literally get my nerves together and, as I say, press the live button. But it is a very different experience when you are going live. And I suppose a lot of the things that you're saying don't do, I would have definitely done. So, but it's out there. And once it's out there, it's, it's other people are watching it. But doing a Facebook Live is very different. Number one, my Facebook Lives were an hour long. So I was here in the potting shed for an hour and I had to fill that content. So I was doing quite a lot of talking during that. So it was draining, but I was also, I suppose that was my only opportunity to speak to people for the whole week, apart from the kids and the husband. So, I was really enjoying it. With the Facebook Live, you don't get that interaction where you're talking, you're seeing people's faces either. So I'll talk in a wee minute about then was doing the courses on Zoom. That was a different thing altogether. But the Facebook Lives started off just, as I say, literally setting the scene, as you can see here in the potting shed. Now I might move the camera around in a wee minute to show you. It's nearly like a set now at this stage. But I had to make sure that the classes that I was going to teach each day, or talk to the camera about each day, I had everything ready. So if I was sowing seeds, I had everything ready. And like that, working one-handed, I learned that lesson. And then I bought myself a fancy tripod. So everything was happening as it went. And then I was able to do more stuff because I was learning each week, I suppose, learning from what the problems were. It did feel quite silly to begin with because you were literally talking to the camera. And it was a wee bit, maybe, I suppose, overwhelming that, am I making a fool of myself? So every week I was going, oh my God, what did I say? But then I would watch it back and learn from the mistakes. It was whenever the little number on the Facebook Live started to go up and up from maybe 2 or 3 people watching. And then obviously people can hook in and get a notification if you're back on again. So the following week then, I went on every week, a Sunday and a Wednesday for the first 12 weeks of lockdown at 1 o'clock. So I made sure I was counting down the clock for 1 o'clock. So people knew that I was being consistent and they were there. So the numbers were going up. It's whenever the numbers pass 60 and 70 and up to 80 that, your heart starts to beat again because you're like, oh my goodness, too many people are watching nearly. I did have a nice visual background so that people could see everything going on. And I would have moved around the potting shed to show everybody what exactly I was doing each week and give them an update as well. It happened at a good time for us as gardeners because the third week of March was a very busy time anyway. So there was lots of content to talk about. So I had no shortage of what to be doing. And then, interestingly enough, people started to chat back. You know, they would say hello. So one thing I started to do, and I found this really good, was as the names became more familiar each week, I was starting to say hello to them and how you's doing and give me a shout out. And people then were asking me to mention their birthdays and could you say hello to my son? He's here beside me, he's watching away. So it turned into nearly like, you know, one of those radio shows where you're doing the mentions at the end. So that was really good. Yeah, it was quite good fun at the time doing it. And what I did then was that I couldn't move my phone from the potting shed outside. I wanted to show people outside as I was starting to pot on and harden things off to go out into the garden. So we got ourselves a booster, so that was able to do the whole range of the garden, and that was brilliant because then I was able to move right around the garden and show people the weather, the good weather, the bad weather. We were able to go into the polytunnels and down into the community garden. So it was really good that we were able to do that. Yeah, so it was brilliant. Now, as I say, I don't have any fancy slides, Connor. I should have been better prepared. But Miriam is there, and she's going to show. I think it was the second week of me doing it. And what I was doing, I was able to then on Facebook Live. You can go into your control panel at the end, and you can download that footage if you want to watch it back or send it off. And I've got just the footage there of that. If you want to show that, Miriam, if that works. Is it working? No?
Yay!
Yeah, there we go. I'm not hearing it. Is that everybody? No?
No sound here either.
Well, if you don't hear it, it's fine. You know, I'm just chatting away about sowing beetroot, I think, there. And yeah.
We can send the link round afterwards to everyone so they can have a look.
We can send the link, and I put all the videos up then on YouTube afterwards. So I downloaded them and put them up on YouTube afterwards. As you can see, that's the other side of the potting shed. And as Connor mentioned, try not to let your beetroot go too big, because what happens is that after a while, beetroot is a biennial. So in year 1, you're growing it for the root, and that's what we eat. But in year 2, it goes to seed. So it changes its lovely flavours from being sweet to being very woody quite quickly when it starts to change what it's trying to do. So the first year, it's creating its own food storage, and in the second year, it wants to start going to seed. So if you let your beetroot go too far, that's why it changes from sweet to woody, because it's doing what it normally wants to do, and you got to get in there quicker and eat it before that point. So it's kind of sad, really, but that's what we have to do. And if any of you ever want to save your beetroot seed, it's really amazing, because what starts out as a little beetroot that we eat ends up growing quite a big tall plant, and you have to tie it up and support it while it's growing its flower and seed heads. We've tried to save seed here, and I don't know if it was that successful. I will know as soon as germination happens this year. But I think that our problem again is getting them dry enough at seed stage. So in terms of your beetroot, you can eat every part of the beetroot as well. You can eat the leaves. You can eat the leaves when they're young. So don't go on and strip the whole plant, but you can have a nibble of a few leaves from the beetroot, and very tasty. Related to the chard. Related to chard.
You can stop sharing now if you want, Mary.
Very tasty. So they make a lovely addition to a salad. And then the root itself. And then even I listen back to that, you see, and I know I've said wrong words all around the place. I'm sitting going, what did I say? But yeah, so that was one of my early videos that I did from the potting shed. So yeah, I suppose the technical things that I would have had come up against by filming live on Facebook was that it would have been very glitchy some days if the weather was bad where I lived. That I would have, people were saying to me, I can't hear you, I can only see you, or I missed that bit, or you were saying something. So, you know, but there's not so much that I could have done. What I did realize then after about 12 weeks, of filming, Facebook came out with an update. And what happened was that my phone was too old for the update. So that started causing technical problems. And I'm not sure if anybody's ever tried that, have come up with that. But I had to end up buying a new phone there recently because of the technical issues that was happening, you know. So, and then what happened was after me doing the Facebook Live, after about 12 or 13 weeks, I think it was, I decided to start running a grow your own food course from that, because there was an awful lot of people that was interested in taking part in a course that couldn't maybe, you know, get on Facebook or whatever. So I was able to use the Facebook Live to get people interested in the course as well, and to take part in the course. And I did that. And as I said there, what I did first actually was I did a webinar for free out to people. Now I charged for the course, and this is something that we might discuss in a wee minute, isn't that right? About charging for courses versus the content that you're giving out for free. But the webinar that I did, I used that as a kind of like a market testing, asking people what they were interested in, if they wanted to use the medium of Zoom, also if they would pay for something like this, and how did they see and visualize it working out. So I used the webinar then as to kind of funnel down the people that were on the Facebook to people that were interested, and then people that would pay for a course, and that's what I did. So yeah,
that's great. Thanks, Joanne. That's a really grand story, and really interesting there to see the slightly different ways of filming, either if you're recording it or if you're giving it out live. But actually sound is so important for both of you saying there, you know, that sound quality, to having those sheltered spaces, particularly on gardens and farm sites, is really important. I think if okay with you, I think we're getting a few questions about editing. So Connor, are you okay to go into that now, if that's all right?
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, I see a few of those coming up.
It's something that scares people, I think, and talk about cutting and sound and.
I'll leave it. Miriam, do you want to start that, and then I'll maybe screen share and show the software that I use at some point during that.
Start the PowerPoint, yeah?
The PowerPoint, yeah.
Okay.
The editing one. Yeah. Okay. So top tips. The really important one. When you're making a film, you're going to have loads and loads of different files for all the different little shots that you've done. You've got to save them in an organized way, you know, on your computer. You know, try and keep them numbers. It'll save them automatically as a number. That's no good. You need to know that this is P's 1. This is you know, P's and Civ, P's after Civ, whatever, so you can identify where they go and the narrative that you're putting there, you know. Now, so P's 1, P's 2, P's 3, save them in folders, overall ones for that film, and even maybe different folder for each segment of the film. It just saves so much time when you're running around and trying to load them into your software to ensure that you have all the bits that you need. Because if you've got it lined up and suddenly there's a bit of film missing, you can't go back and redo that. You know, you're hunting around for it. It just throws everything out. So next, yeah. So rendering quality. Just in technical terms, the rendering quality of your film is how it's like how many pixels it comes out at on your screen. You know, whether you're putting it out at a low resolution or a really, really high resolution up to like HD quality. A lot of the time you don't need to be going HD film quality on the visuals for putting it out there. If it ends up with very big clunky files, you really don't need that whenever you're at the discussion or editing stage or send it across to somebody to make comments on. You can save it a lower res, and then you can, if you like, you can put it at a higher resolution whenever you upload it. But the higher resolution, the bigger the file size, and the more chance when you're transferring it across on WeTransfer or whatever you're using, that it's not gonna make it. You know, lower size files tend to transfer easier. So, you know, go with the lowest quality that you're happy with, rather than going, oh, I'll make it full quality. Some people are paying for their you know, like the amount of information that's coming out there as well. So you know, keep it to where it needs to be, rather than always going for top level. Okay, so next, yeah, music. You don't have to have music on your films. I ended up putting a little bit of music on the lockdown gardening at the start, just because it kind of gave a wee break between we're talking about this, and then there's like a setback. You just heard 15 seconds of a particular bit of music, and then you're on and you're talking about it. It wasn't copyrighted music. I actually that was music I recorded myself. I have asked friends for music for other ones, but that was just a wee bit I had sitting around, and it was on my computer, and I thought, like, gentle guitar music, that'll do for the garden. And but we don't like to exploit musicians. Musicians don't like being exploited, but they're usually happy if somebody's doing something that isn't like a massive money earner to help out. So if you've got friends that you think will let you use a bit of their music on your videos, ask them. And you know, all I can say is no. Yeah, nature noises and background. I'm saying keep music simple or gentle background garden noises. That's a lovely thing to have in the background whenever you're showing things. There was a fair amount of bird song around here in the mornings when a lot of things I was recording a lot of things that came through quite nicely. Next one. Yeah, so saying about transferring files. Yeah, WeTransfer is the way I was transferring from my phone to my computer just to get it on. It's not exactly clunky, but there's a few processes you need to go through, and it's just keeping a track on those whenever they've gone. It's like that whole, you know, if they're going from your phone and coming to a laptop, you've got to name them, you've got to file them there, get them out of your mailbox, and get them onto your computer. So that there's work to be done doing all of that. But it is free. Say, and although it says it goes up to 2 GB, I find it less reliable once you go over the 1.4 GB size of file. And I find if you put 2 or 3 files together, it's also more likely to mess up. The worst thing that you can do though is to send have 5 windows open, all sending WeTransfers. You know, it really doesn't like that, and you will lose. One of them will mess up, and then the other ones will stop working as well. So it's kind of like, stick to what you're sending, send it, and then go on to the next one. It's very frustrating when that starts to go wrong. And the next one, I think, yeah, software. So a few people are asking about this: what free software is out there? What can you use? VideoPad, Windows Movie Maker, which comes free with some computers. Movavi I tried. It was the one that I ended up being happy with was the VideoPad Professional, which comes from NCH Software. Have to pay for it. It's not an awful lot. I think it's about to license it. It's something like £12 for 3 months. So it works out about £4 a month. So £1 a week to have the software, which is it's very little. I found it was a nice it occupied a nice space between the totally free software, which is very simple, and some of the real professional ones that were just like, I thought, I'm not going to get my head around these. There's too much going on. So there's direct upload option to YouTube and Facebook, which is very handy. What was important for me was the ability to edit, slow down the sound, and to unlink the sound in the video. So you were able to have multiple soundtracks going, so you could have your background noise running, reduce the noise in that, so you can then talk over the top of it. That unlinking aspect wasn't available in some of the free software. That's what probably decided it for me. And I can just show you here, if I start to share the screen and go into, so
Miriam and I saw this earlier, and we were like, "Oh, so
so
Connor's going to take us through it and make it seem less scary."
Yeah, so just start with the gentle one. So this was so this was the Hugel Pots video for growing carrots. So
Wait, do you want me to show the video?
is that not showing?
Oh, no, yeah, you're going to share your screen about the editing software, yeah?
Yeah.
That's not showing yet.
Okay, it's not showing that. Okay, sorry, back to Zoom. Sorry, I wasn't. So share screen, select the application that you want to show. That one there. Is that coming up now? Okay, just shows technology. We are all learning all the time. And so for this one here, you've got sequences. I've only got one sequence, which is the whole thing coming together. Video files. So in this wee section here, you've got 7 video files, 2 audio files, and 1 image, which was the sort of lockdown garden and cover page that Marianne put together for us, which I was able to transfer in each one. The audio files, little one for the music, and then an overall narration file, and then so you can see your single file. This one here, if we preview this, you can see. Okay, that will show. So you're getting the full sound of me drilling through a pot, walking away from it, turning it over. So that's what the basic film was. Now let me get back out of that. Exit the preview, and then whenever that came into the overall, so no, that's the left, sorry. Okay, take a photo. Okay, I'm just trying to move that wee window out of the way there. Sorry. So you can see here, I've got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. These are all the separate scenes that are going on to, but they tell you in each of them how long you're going. You know, you're going from 2 minutes 50 to 3 minutes 10, 3 minutes 10 to 3 minutes 18. If there's something that you don't particularly like, you can take it out. If you don't like the sound on it, you've got a clip volume, so you can take that up. You can reduce it to 0. You can mute it. You can keep it down, and now this wee one here lets you. Oh, it's not letting me jump through there. Okay, clip volume 0. So it might look intimidating at first, but it lets you run through, see what's there, and as you're watching that, if there's anything that jumps out at you, you've always got the option of jumping in, removing that, and putting it back. It's all totally there and totally movable until you render it and you decide, right, I'm going to fix you now. Yeah.
I think some to do some editing was that there's so much stuff you can do, because actually some people are a lot more technically adept than I am. So actually it's just about using the little pieces and the bits that you want to use, and then gradually as you get a bit more confident doing a bit more, but not feeling like you have to put animations and split sound and all that kind of stuff in straight away, just doing the little bits that you want to.
It's get the story across as well as you can. The only fancy Dan stuff I did really was the speeding up stuff, because I just wanted to keep the videos. I wanted to keep them interesting. I wanted to show people what I was doing, but I wanted to compress that down in time, sort of to bring it in. So, you know, it would take too long sort of to show every bit of fill in the pot. But you speed that up, you get that down, and it's 20 seconds. You know, so I was shocked at how much interest there was on the films. I thought if we got like a couple of hundred people looking at them, that would be it. But they got shared very widely at that time. That's something that we'll definitely do again when things get calmed down a bit. You know, we were actually very busy here at Social Farms and Gardens Northern Ireland with a lot of stuff. You know, and as the lockdown decreased, you know, we really expanded out into the community. I would like to spend more time. I think I would get quicker at making films. They do take up a lot of time, and you have to have that sort of patient mind that you can just sit and run through and be a bit of a perfectionist at the edit. And I'm not naturally like that, so that was my lockdown challenge really.
How long did it kind of take you? How long was it taking you towards the end of your kind of filming to edit, like say a 5-minute film?
You're looking at least an hour for every minute that you're doing, and that's with nothing going wrong. But in terms of transferring that's just the editing. But in terms of like getting the things filmed and then getting those transferred across and getting your codes for WeTransfer and doing all that sort of thing, you could probably double it. You know, the sitting down editing is quite nice. It's the getting everything into the one place at the right time. You know, it was just there's a discipline there. There's a reason why filmmakers are filmmakers and gardeners are gardeners. But you know, we're all, you know, we're learning multiple tasks and approaches, and nobody's expecting us to be, you know, world-class directors. But if we can show people how to do something or get across their enthusiasm for what we're doing, then you know, I think we've been successful. What do you think, Joanne?
Yeah, you nearly had me, Connor. I was nearly going onto the edit suite, but just as you say there about the time, and that's what I noticed even just doing the Facebook Live. Like I was, you know, spending all that morning getting my classroom ready, and then setting it up, filming it, and then afterwards, you know, kind of. So it's a full half a day out of your week, and as gardeners, that's a you know, a big chunk of time to be taken out, especially in March and April time. So you know, fair play for doing that. That's brilliant. What I did is I put it out there again on Facebook, and I said, because whenever I had some content then recorded on Facebook, I put it out on YouTube. But then just like you know, I wanted a wee fancy video. Miriam's got that there, because what I did is I put it out onto Facebook. Is there anybody out there that could edit a video for me? I was very cheeky, and someone came along and private messaged, and I sent them the content, and they were able to make this wee video up for me, and then that was able to signpost people to watch the thing. I think Miriam's going to play it there now. If that's,
I'm trying, sorry.
Hopefully you get the sound. Hopefully. It's only music this time. And now I'm thinking, uh-oh, copyright, I never checked. No sound. So yeah.
Did you hear that?
No.
Yeah, we can share them later though.
It was lovely music, yeah.
Lovely music. And I'm glad, hopefully it was copyright. But yeah, so I just used that as a kind of then signpost to put out a few hours before, the day before that I went live, and it helped to increase the numbers as well. And as you say, Connor, you know, even if you're helping 1 or 2 people out there, or 10 or 100, you know, you're passing on your enthusiasm for what we're doing. I think that's the most important thing out of everything.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Was there anything else on the editing there, Connor?
Not that I could think of.
No.
I think I've moved through most of the points. Is there any other questions that have arisen sort of?
Nothing
do with
coming
that?
in at the moment.
Oh yeah,
I see you
branded.
on there
I
about
see you on there. How,
Yeah.
the branded title page at the start of a video. Do you import it? You ask Miriam to put together a very nice page for you, and then I just took that on as an image, and then you're able to keep your image and for as long as you want. That can be just there for a second. It can sit there for 10 seconds. You can put whatever you want over the top of it. And then I had to import that image again for each new video that I was doing. But I knew what I was doing with the music. Each subsequent one was just like, bring that file, bring that fade in, that fade out. That's there, and that's going to be the same each time. And so yeah, that's how I did that.
Yeah, I
I
think
see
if
Juliet there ask. Sorry, go ahead if you're still talking about I'm just going to a question someone asked previously about, but go, you ask.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so I did some really simple videos, which a couple of groups had sent to me. So I just needed to add a title page and an end page to them. I created them on PowerPoint, saved them as images, and then I just used the free software with Windows to put them at the front. And because I wasn't doing anything very advanced, there was no transitions between the slides. I did put a bit of sound on the back, but again, it was really small. So that probably took half an hour just to add those 2 slides at the beginning and an image at the slides, I guess, but they were saved as images. Put them at the beginning, put the whole video that someone had already created, and then on the end. So that was nice. I've just noticed a thing about copyright-free music. There are a couple of spaces with like free nature sounds, but I think Connor's idea of using a friend if you can, or someone from your site, one of your volunteers, hidden talents, is great, and you can record that. But I will send through a couple of links after this webinar, and you can use them. So Joanne, back over to you.
No, Juliet had asked about the comments. Why could she not see comments on the Facebook Live? And this was one of the issues that happened to me. So I'm not sure of the exact date, but as I say there, my phone was an older phone, and Facebook did an update. And then every time I tried to go live, then one of the things that was missing was the comments popping up. I didn't change anything that I was doing. My phone could not take on the new update of Facebook. So I'm not sure whether that could be an issue, whether your phone has gone for that update or if it's just too old. But now when I do the Facebook Live, the comments are back.
Okay.
So
I have the same problem. Yeah. So I don't know. It'd be nice if there's time to ask Joanne a little bit about what she's working on at the minute, and like working on as well as producing free content, to start charging for content as well.
Yeah, I think that's really valid, particularly we've seen how much time and technical expertise it does take. So actually how are we putting a value on that, which I think you've been doing really well now, Joanne. So if you're able to share, it'll just give some of
when I started, I had my garden course that I would have been teaching out and about anyway. So I just adapted that for online. Obviously everything then needs to be slide share through, and I use Zoom. Zoom is a very, very easy platform. I had asked advice from lots of people on what they use, and I was, again, like, I'm so technophobe that I just want to enjoy the process instead of worrying about, is this going to work, and things always fail on me. Like I seem to be able to bring it to me. If there's going to be a technical problem, it happens around my aura. So I had to keep it really simple. So Zoom for me was the most simple platform, and I paid for that. So you get the hour, you get more than the 40 minutes or whatever, that free content. So I paid for that. So there was some cost involved. But then once I put the course out there through my Facebook page, I linked it through my website and allowed people, if they wanted to pay. So I designed 6 courses throughout the week, so people could pick various times and dates. But if you picked the Monday morning class, that was your class, then you were part of that. So I promoted that through Facebook, and I ended up getting, as I say, over 100 participants. I've had to spend an awful lot of time on Zoom, But like that, Alison, you're getting paid for your time before you show up. So it feels better. After a while, it feels better just to be getting paid. And I was able to come off the COVID payment for that. So I felt I was earning again, which was good. It's not easy to ask for money. I understand that, but the amount of work that you see that goes on, putting the content together and then being there and facilitating all that stuff in the background and making sure everybody's got their links and everybody's got their notes. And, you know, you are facilitating it throughout. So, you know, I was charging €40 for a 6-week course. So participants paid €40, and each week we were online for about 2 hours. But then I was available if they needed me for any questions and answers afterwards. So it was really good. What we did the first run of it, and everybody paid, and then the second run of it, what I noticed now, I'm based in the south of Ireland, but my local development companies were coming through to me to say, we'll buy slots, we'll buy 10, we'll pay you for 10 places, and then we'll give them out to our community for free. So I thought that was a real win-win situation, that I was able to earn a living, and then we were able to give people that couldn't pay for it access for free. So that's my preferred way if we could do that through county councils, through community groups and things like that, and be online. So that's what, and now I'm creating a view on demand course, which is really stretching me technical wise, but I'm getting there. And it's like everything, you know, COVID has made us skill up. It's made us step out of our comfort zone. And everybody that goes on to these onlines, like, you know, it's still, I've done over 200 hours now on Zoom since the start of lockdown, and it's still a nervous experience when you do it, because you're so afraid of making the mistakes. So, but they do happen.
Were the courses live or pre-recorded, Joanne?
They were all live. Yeah, they were all live. I ended up with neck damage because I was doing it wrong. A friend of mine's a chiropractor, and I had to phone her after 2 weeks when my neck locked, and she said to me, "Where is the taskbar on your computer?" And I said, "Well, I'm looking down at it, you know." So I was looking down at the screen, and she said, "No, your taskbar needs to be at eye level." So I had to lift everything up then onto boxes so that I'm always keeping my neck straight, not stretching it. That's very important as well. Things we learn.
Top tips.
And in terms of your course, is it very much just the delivery, or did you have additional resources to kind of go alongside that, or did you just do it through Zoom?
Through Zoom and through slide sharing. So it was growing your own food, but what I wanted to do was growing your own food within your community. So the first week we were very much full participation. So I asked everybody, what did local food look like where they live? So you were getting this nice picture. And then we started to look into where our food comes from, and the ethics may be involved on a global scale. And then week 2 was all about the soil. Week 3, the seeds. Week 4 was all about pests and disease. And then moving up to week 6, then we were looking at, how do you take all this knowledge now and how do you get it back out into your community? So to do that ripple effect, so that, you know, people can say, oh, that's who we go to for advice, or to empower the people that were part of the course then to do something similar.
Brilliant, thank you. We are very nearly at 3 o'clock, so I'm just very quickly going to do a plug for the London Harvest Festival. So I don't know how many London groups we've got here. I'm afraid I don't recognise everyone's name. So, but anyone who's in or close to London, hopefully has received mail about the London Harvest Festival, which this year is online. So hopefully you'll be able to take some tips from today and create your content for sending in and sharing that as part of the festival. I will put in to the follow-up email Amber's details. There's a beautiful picture of real life a few years ago, but this year just trying to take everything online, so it'll all be the same stuff. So that's a great opportunity to have a go within a friendly environment, doing some filming and editing and sharing that. And just check whether there's any other questions that have come through. So obviously you did have interaction with your students, Joanne, which is great, and you we've had quite a lot of information about that. I think what I might do as well is just pop a link to your site, and so that people could maybe get in touch if they had any more specific questions about what you've been doing.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, Miriam, you wanted to say something there?
There was one question about, would any of you consider approaching a school to sell them training, online video training?
Connor?
Okay, I certainly think that's something that that you know, as we increase our interaction with schools anyway, through lockdown, and we're working with a couple through Growing Resilience program, that might be something that they're interested in, to check that out. That's I know schools, but budget-wise schools, you know, are getting it very tight. You know, it's but it's something that they're going to be doing a lot more outdoor working and a lot more outdoor learning. So there probably is an opportunity there, you know, for expertise to come onto the schools that may not be there with the current teaching staff. So it's certainly something worth exploring.
I know I think that question came from Juliet, and they previously had lots of visiting school groups, and so looking at whether this is an alternative to reaching out, but doing it as paid content. So that might be something, Juliet, to raise within the Social Farms and Gardens Facebook group. Possibly not our speakers here today, but I imagine that there'll be other groups in a similar position to yourselves, working with schools. And in Green Meadow Community Farm in South Wales, I know they've done a lot of work with schools. And how are you going to keep those contacts going and make it kind of well resourced for yourselves?
Yeah.
Miriam, do you want to just finish off with the last slides, and then we can, because we've got another webinar, I think possibly be our last COVID response webinar, although I imagine Social Farms and Gardens will be doing a lot more online in the future with our training. So next Wednesday, one on welcoming diversity within our Social Farms and Gardens. So we've got some great speakers going to be sharing on there. So it's 2 till 3 next Wednesday afternoon. It's completely free as part of this series. So you can book online for that. I think finally, just to say thank you so much, Connor. Thank you so much, Joanne, for taking this time out and for sharing all of that information there. And we will send out as much information as follow-up, including Joanne and Connor's details for yeah, if you want to follow anything up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.